and we're going to be busing to Indianapolis tomorrow sometime. With that, we'll go ahead and start raising our hands for Coach Barnes.
Okay.
Yep. We'll start with Rick Russo, Mike Wilson, and Trey Walls.
Hey, Coach. Good evening. Your thoughts on being the 5th seed in the Midwest region, and maybe your initial thoughts on an Oregon State team that's
Hold on for us. We can't hear you. Give me just a second.
Sure.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah, you got me. You got me. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, Rick. We're here.
You got me, Coach. Good, good, good.
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, good, good. Well, and good evening. Your thoughts on being the 5th seed in the Midwest region, Coach, and maybe initial thoughts on an Oregon State team that's playing well right now, coming off a tournament championship.
Well, you're right. I think our guys are we're excited. Obviously we came here to Nashville, wanting to win a conference championship, but I do like where our guys are. I thought they played their hearts out yesterday and had a good day together today. And we stayed here in Nashville. We'll get up and head to Indianapolis tomorrow and get checked in there and get back at it. And but you mentioned it, Oregon State finished as strong as any team in the country in their conference. They beat Oregon, UCLA, and Colorado, I think, in that order, which that tells you how well they're playing. A terrific team has been coached well, and they've gotten better. And you said it, they're playing their best basketball at the time, which most teams that are still playing right now are all capable, and you would think are playing their best basketball. I like to think that we're on the verge of doing that as well.
Rick, two things. One, you said last night that you know what you're going to get out of this team. When did you start feeling that way? And two, do you lean on Kim English and Victor Bailey Jr. a little bit with their potential knowledge of Oregon State?
Well, when did I start? In the last couple of weeks, it's just the attention to detail with our scouting reports where, again, sometimes it takes you longer to get to that point where we've tried to just get guys to really hone in on exactly, the nuts and bolts of what you're trying to do. But more importantly, I think over the last couple of weeks, just the players talking amongst themselves. I think there's the chemistry is good. I just think it has gone to a different level. I think that they are really locked into each other. And with Kim and VJ, they certainly know, even though I think Oregon State's got pretty much a different team. Our guys are, as soon as that pops up, like every team in the country, they start working on those opponents that for the first weekend, and our guys are doing the same thing. And later on tonight, they'll give me some film, whatever they can come up with for me to look at. Obviously, you can get it pretty quick now, but the way I understand it, they're a different team in terms of personnel. I know Stevie Thompson's son that I coached against Stevie when I was at Providence, and his dad was playing at Syracuse. And so, again, they've got personnel I think is different than what probably VJ and Kim saw a year ago.
Hey, Rick, so yesterday without John Fulkerson being able to play, you guys ran somewhat of a four-guard lineup, and then you had Euros that actually had a lot of minutes in yesterday's game. So how much will that be a factor for you guys this week in determining a game plan for Oregon State? Will you roll with that same kind of lineup, and what did you think of Euros' play?
Everyone's excited for Euros. He has been, for a guy that hasn't seen the court as much as players would like, you watch him on the side. He's been warned more than any player that I've ever coached from the officials about being overzealous for his teammates. I can't tell you how many times this year that the referees came by and said, hey, you've got to keep that big guy off the court. And he's just – the guys love him because he's the ultimate team guy. And does he want to play? Absolutely. And I can only tell you, I can't explain to you. I wish I could. I'd do it all quicker in terms of what makes the light go on for guys where they're like, okay, this is what I got to do. And over the last couple of weeks, he's done it, and he earned it, and he's went out and he did some good things yesterday, but we're going to still need everybody on our team. When you get to this time of year, like obviously without John yesterday, and then with Josiah getting in foul trouble, it puts you into different things that you have to try to do, and some of it's on the fly. As much as you try to practice a lot of different things, it's just sometimes you just got to go on the fly. And for the most part, I thought our guys did that yesterday. As it was a high level game. Both of them were high level games this past weekend, and so we'll prepare for a number of different things. The way I understand it, off the top of my what I heard out there when we were just talking, is that Oregon State will mix defenses and show some things. But we've seen pretty much everything what people can throw at it. Obviously, adjustments will always be made, but going forward, we're going to have everybody ready and hope that Uros can continue to do what he's done up to this point.
David Pascal, Grant Ramey, and Nicholas Hill.
Rick, there's been a kind of a bubble aspect to this entire season when you think about what you've had to do in Knoxville around holidays and stuff like that. But you've been to so many of these NCAA tournaments. We know you're going to be in Indianapolis tomorrow. You don't play until Friday. What are these next 4 or 5 days going to be like, and how different of an experience is that going to be from what y'all are used to?
You know, that's a great question. And the answer is, I don't know. I mean, in the past, we knew we had to get in there a couple of days early and press conferences, and I would assume that will be the same thing probably like we're doing it right now. But the difference is, in the past, we set up our own off-site practices. I don't think that will be that way. I don't know. So we're going to be locked in. As of right now, I don't think anybody in this tournament knows what it's going to be like. I think we just found out what hotel we were going to be in. Which that's not unusual. You know, normally right now, in the past, once you get this, all the administrative people are getting flight arrangements. You know, they know the hotel, all the tickets, all that stuff. You try to get knocked out of the way before you even get on the plane to go. And you would have normally a day like tomorrow for the most part, or for us, Monday or Tuesday. I think we would, depending on when you play, I think you had to be at the site, 2 days before? Now we're going to get there, 5 days? Is that right? 4 days before the actual game. And I have no idea where we're going to be assigned to go practice. So I don't think anybody knows. And I'll be curious. I guess they'll be giving us some more of that as they get through it. When they were doing the show, I remember hearing, I think one of the announcers say that when they were putting up the seedings and everything, you know, the pairings, but they didn't say where they were going to be playing, where they're going to be in Bloomington or whatever. So, and nobody's told me that. So I don't know. I would assume if they're going to send us somewhere to play games, that's where they'll let us have. Is it going to be an hour and a half? Who knows? I think that we'll all end up doing like we've done here, a lot of work in the ballroom. And I don't know. I do know that I heard that they were going to try to. They got all the teams in 4 hotels, I think, and they're going to try to keep each team on a floor by themselves, and then how the ballrooms and all that work out, I don't know.
Rick, do you think it helps this team that you all stay together and go straight into the tournament, given the last couple of weeks? It seems like you've described kind of some momentum building.
I do think so, Grant. I think that, when we walked out of the arena last night, my first initial thought, me personally, I hadn't thought a lot about it because, you're thinking about the tournament and all this. But, I remember walking out yesterday thinking, I asked somebody, what time is it? And I'd really forgotten that we had played that earlier game. And they asked me my thoughts. And I could tell by the way they asked me my thoughts, they had already, in their mind, had their opinion of it. And I said, well, I don't want to sit around a hotel for a week or whatever. And then they explained to me that going back probably wouldn't be the right thing to do right now with what's going on with the NCAA and all that. And actually, you know what? We had a really good day today. We had some time over at the Memorial Coliseum, and we normally, if you think about it, if we had gone back to Knoxville, we would have taken the day off. We're off, obviously. We'd have been off going back for certain, driving back, but they wanted to go. The guys wanted to go, and it was really fun kind of being there because they start playing 3-on-3s, and every guy kind of takes care of their bodies a little bit differently. But Coach Inglis got in the game with them. They were going at it, and you could tell it was there. Then here in the hotel, where we have a great hotel over here at the Hyatt, the Grand Hyatt, they've given us as much space as you could put 2,000 people in here. And the guys are spread out, but they're, Mary Carter went out and bought a bunch of games, and the guys were in there playing poker and Connect Four and what was it? Monopoly and all that. Chess. They were playing chess. Actually, Santi asked me if I knew how to play chess. I said I don't, but I'd beat you regardless. So that's been a good day. I think today's been, honestly, it makes you realize how much you miss the time together as much as anything. But I was concerned yesterday. So everybody had already really made a decision that the best thing to do is stay. And I said, hey, whatever you guys think, and because I trust everybody involved here. And I do think it was the right thing to do. But we'll bust it up there. I would assume we're going to leave tomorrow mid-morning. Well, I don't know. It depends on what we get back from the NCAA about the practices, this, that, or whatever. I guess in a couple hours we'll know more.
Coach, I'm just curious what your familiarity is with Oregon State head coach Wayne Trinkle, and where you faced his teams either at Oregon State or at Montana.
Well, I've been around him. I've met him before, and I like him a lot. The time I haven't been with him a lot. I've got great respect for him because I know that, again, when you're in coaching, you know that every job is hard, some harder than others, absolutely. And when he's done what he has done with that program, and to do what he did in that tournament speaks volumes. And it speaks volumes. And obviously, what the job he did at Montana, and then what he's done there. Again, hats off to him, because what he did this week is something that very few teams do. When you run through the field the way he did, it's impressive. And they've got to have great confidence. They've got to be feeling good about themselves, that again, they're playing the best at the right time.
Ben McKee, Jimmy Himes, and Rob Lewis.
Rick, I'm just curious as to your thoughts on Keon's defense against Trey Mann in the Florida game and John Petty yesterday, and how you think that can translate to maybe a first two matchups where Oregon State seems like they're guard heavy, and then a potential matchup with Cade Cunningham.
I can't tell you how impressed I am with Keon, especially over the last couple of weeks. I just think that he has just continued to grow. And as much as anything, he's talking up. And I do think our guys have great confidence in him. They know he's a fighter. They know he's going to compete at the highest level. And yeah, does he get it going sometime and turn the ball over? Yes, but that's all out of a willingness and a competitiveness to want to fight and win. And so there is no doubt how much respect that he has earned from his teammates. And they believe in him tremendously. I believe in him tremendously. And all I can tell you is, and I wish that he could have had a full year, or all of our guys. You think about it, he missed an exhibition game. He missed a scrimmage against Davidson. I think he missed, 6 conference games. And I just, in my mind, keep thinking, man, if he had, or all of us would have had that. But that's for everybody in the country. But yet, he now in the last 2 weeks has taken it to a higher level, and he's really locked in. He really, what I love about him too, he's gotten to a point where he's asking questions about a lot of different things in the game, and he's not going back down. He's not going to back down from anybody, and that can be infectious to his teammates, which I think it has been. And like I said, as much confidence as we have in him as a staff, his teammates have that same confidence.
Rick, do you think that not having a midweek game before Florida in the regular season, then having that double bye, do you think that served your team well, not just physically, but mentally?
I do, Jimmy. I really do. I felt, and you don't know coming out of it, at home, our biggest concern was coming out and being senior night. You always wonder on senior night because, again, the respect that our team has for John Fulkerson and E. Pons, and having that week off, you're but we had a good week off. Now our guys, I think they enjoyed practicing against each other. We competed a lot. We really did. We had some very competitive practices, and you can always tell this time of year when you cut practice short, but they want to keep going. That's always a good sign. But obviously, it's our job to, try to manage all that. And then we got going, but both Florida games were played at a very high level. They really were. I don't know what it looked like on TV, but I can tell you up close and personal, these two games here were as high level of physical, hard-nosed, both teams fighting to win as much as you're going to see in this tournament. And so I like that part of it, having a week off. Again, you go back and look, and I said it yesterday. I mean, Florida led the league in many offensive categories, and then you play a team that that has had the year that Alabama has played, and defensively, we battled. And did we get a little fatigued at one point in time in the game? I thought we did, and I wish I could say here, I wish Josiah would have stayed out of foul trouble. Because when we got to a point there, and plus if Fulky's in the game, there's time when you're struggling to score a little bit. Instead of putting all the pressure on your guards, you can maybe go through the inside a little bit. We didn't have that yesterday. We didn't have it. But what we did have was a group of guys that play with tremendous heart, tremendous courage, and a willingness to win.
If there were one thing that you could improve heading into the NCAA tournament, would it be limiting turnovers? Would it be shot selection? What is there any one thing you can point to where you feel like we got to get better if we want to advance?
Definitely limiting turnovers, taking care of the ball, and shot selection. I think people think of it in terms of taking bad shots. In our situation, it's taking shots, knowing that when we turned down again yesterday shots 3 times that resulted into turnovers, and that so willingness to take shots from the right guy at the right time is really important. And like I said, we've gone back and we've shown it. I mentioned to you guys, I think the last time we spoke, that some of our turnovers have been because we have been unselfish, if that's what you want to call it, but just turning down shots. We got to take open shots when they're there. And because if not, now you're starting to put pressure on guys to make plays with the clock coming down. And that's when some of those turnovers happen, because both teams yesterday were heavy gap teams and trying to, keep things out of the lane. And, but definitely I'll always stay protecting that ball. And that includes not turning it over, and it includes shot selection, whether it's not taking bad shots or not taking a shot at all.
Coach, you're a guy who, sometimes even after a win, by the time you get to talking to us, you're more focused on something your team didn't do well in a game. But yesterday, after a loss, you were really upbeat. And, just what did you see on the court that kind of had you in that positive frame of mind about your guys?
A group of guys I'd like to coach for a long time, because you got to realize we walked through in a ballroom defensively with our defensive scheme, and we walked through some offensive things but the biggest thing was what we did in the first half, and we changed some things, and we were able, because of the arena being like it is today, we were able to talk a lot because we did some things that we haven't done, and we were able to talk them through it. The second half on the other end, when our team was unbelievable during the game. The guys on the bench were locked in. They knew exactly what we were talking about. But when you're out there in the heat of the battle, it's great. Yeah, second half, we had a couple breakdowns when we went small one, but then just some different things. But the one thing I loved was there was a willingness, a fight that we play hard. There's aren't many games this year I can tell you that we don't. Again, we play hard consistently, but it was just an attitude, an air about us on the bench, all that stuff to where you feel like, hey, you know what? This group's getting it. And, in the Florida game was a hard fought game, and defensively staying locked in against a team that both of these teams do, great stuff. And for the most part, we guarded. And, but the biggest thing was the detail of our game plan. And that's what makes you feel good when they're really trying to do that knowing they're not going to be perfect. And, but I just, again, I'm enjoying watching what they're doing because they're on edge in a good way.
Trey Wallace, Mike Wilson, and Madison Blevins.
Rick, when you guys get to Indianapolis and figure out, practice schedule and whatnot, how are you, and I know it's hard because you don't really know what's going on, but how are you going to approach this week? Is it going to be like the last 3 weeks where, maybe you have a game on a Saturday, so maybe practice on Wednesday, Thursday? What do you think will be the outlook for you guys?
Just like we had the last part of the season here, we'll, again, tomorrow, what I was saying earlier, we would normally, after a game this time of year, we would take 2 days off. Like I said today, they wanted to get out of the hotel and go do that. So tomorrow, we'll get on the bus and drive up there. We'll go back at it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we'll have probably a good workout on Tuesday and not much, and then start right now keeping everybody healthy, keeping them fresh, and just again, I don't know the time we play any of this, so we'll wait and see how that looks. But we normally try to work off 2 days prep, so I would imagine the first day, and like I've told you guys before, I believe when you get a group of guys that go really, really hard, knowing your games need to be 2 of them, that maybe 3 times in a week you can expect yourself to exert the type of energy and effort. We practice hard, and so it's up to us as coaches to probably get one good, short, sweet workout in at some point in time, and everything else will be short, sweet, to the point, and just work on the things that we think that we need. Just pretty much what we've been doing coming down the stretch here.
Hey, a quick follow-up. How has John Fulkerson's mentality been over the last 24 to 48 hours from your perspective, even having to go back to Knoxville, coming back to Nashville, but we did see him on the sidelines yesterday. How's he been?
He's been great, and obviously, you can only imagine he wants to be out there, and if he could, he would. But I know that he'll be back tonight. He'll be with us. He'll be on the buses with us tomorrow to get going. And like we said, it'll be a day-to-day thing. But it's never about him. I mean, I've said it before. It's never going to be about John Fulkerson. It isn't. And he wants his teammates to win. He wants to be a part of it. And believe me, nobody's pulling for him to do that more than his teammates, because they love him. They want to see him have a chance to be successful, because they know how hard he's worked over his time here, and they would love for him and they know that he's helped get them where they are right now.
Rick, looks like Santi is maybe has more pep in his step, a little bit more going for him right now. Is that just a matter of had some time for that hip to heal, or is he just playing better basketball right now?
No, really, Mike, I think that the week off helped a lot of guys with nagging type injuries. I think that will. I'm hoping this week. That's why I think talking about how do we go about this week is trying to keep all that stuff in check as much as we can. And and I think that the more that the more consistent Keon and Jaden get, and guys around him, like E. Pons was terrific. I mean, this week I didn't see the SEC All-Tournament team, but if he didn't make it, we need to re-vote it. Did he make it? I don't know if he did, because I tell you what, he was just unbelievable how terrific he was in the game, and so many different facets of what he did. And but I do think with Santi, the time off helped him, because if you guys have ever had a hip flexor problem, it's a problem. But like I said, I think it's helped all those guys.
Hey, Coach, you say this group of guys is a team that you would want to coach for a long time. Well, after everything last year, the conference tournament, the NCAA tournament getting canceled, how sweet was this moment today with this guys, just hearing who you're going to play, finding out where you're going to go, and just sharing that with them?
You know what? Very different than in the past. If you're in the room with us, to be quite frank and honest, when it came up, a couple claps, and going about business. Everybody got up and turned and walked away. Whereas in the past, I mean, I just think it's different. I do. I think we're all into that right now, that, hey, it's a basketball game. They fought hard to be part of this tournament. They knew they were a part of it, obviously, and I felt like, where they were going to be seated, and we felt somewhere between, 5 or 6 would probably be where we would be. But I don't want you to think that they're not excited, because they really are excited to play, but it's just different. I mean, it's very different. We're here in a big old ballroom that you could put down 2 basketball courts, it seems like, and we're spread out and everybody's there. And so when it popped up there real quick, everybody, we were all sitting there from the very beginning of the show, but once it popped up and some claps, next thing I know, everybody was going out to get ready to eat. And and come back in and sit down. And so that's being honest with you. And so, but to be where we were a year ago, I like to thank the SEC, for doing their part, but I'd like to thank all the players in this league and around the country, because they were the ones that had to work through what we're going through right now. It's not over. And the fact that we've got a chance to, we're going to play for, in a national tournament, the national tournament. I just think, again, the players, the athletes around the country, I mean, what they've gone through, we should really appreciate it. And the people that have worked so hard to get us to this point, but it is different. And for me to tell you that it's not in the past, it wouldn't be honest with you, because it's just different, and it's going to be different there. But I do think that once the games start, I think we're all going to be used to, sort of, kind of. Even though I will tell you this, I felt like this weekend's SEC tournament was just an unbelievable atmosphere compared to what we have had to deal with all year long. It felt really like in the NCAA tournament, first round game. That's what it felt like. And so that made this week really good. And the fact, we had, great support over here in Nashville, which you would expect from our Vol Nation, and going to Indy, I don't think we know.
Finish up with Vince Ferrara, Zach Rickens, and Jimmy Himes.
Rick, I know you got to take it one game at a time in the NCAA tournament, and you're not in the business of making predictions. I get that. And you also don't want to put a ceiling on your team. But what do you think is the potential of your basketball team for this NCAA tournament?
I think we're good enough to play anybody and beat anybody in the tournament. I really believe that. And I that's all I can tell you, the honest truth. Do I want to have everybody? I would, because I don't think really and truly, other than a few weeks at a time, and we've had our whole team together in great minds, great mental state, great physical state. And do I want to see our team right now with everybody a full roster? Absolutely. And I think, with that, again, we're not afraid to compete against anybody. And even if things doesn't work out with John, we're going to go there with the same mindset, because we believe that some way, somehow, we've got guys that maybe haven't played as many minutes like what Urosh has done, that's ready to step in there and play. And I just like the mindset we have right now, but it would be nice for us to have our full allotment and just see what we can be.
Rick, you kind of hit on it a little bit earlier, but, to play around 30 games this year is a feat in itself. But there are no more pauses in team activities. That if a team does have a positive test, they are out of the tournament, with the NCAA selecting a couple different teams there to fill in. I guess what might go through some coaches and players' minds if or when something like that could occur, to work so hard all year to get to this point, to get to an Indianapolis, to go through something like that? How difficult might that be for a team to experience?
Well, it's probably the hardest thing that we've had to deal with all year, because like we got tested today, we'll wait for the results tomorrow morning, or we'll get them. I don't know if we've got them back yet today. I would doubt it, but I don't think there's any question. That's the most stressful thing that you've gone through all year. And, knowing that every time you go in, even before the NCAA protocol started, we were down to 10 people maybe getting tested. Now everybody in our travel parties getting tested, everybody. And with that said, every time you do that, you're waiting the next morning, because it's going to be on that phone. It's going to pop up all test negative, and that's what you hope and pray for everybody. You really do. And, but we now had, I think, 7 straight. Is that right? Is it, Tom? Something like that, where we,
Sunday, we started last Sunday.
yeah, we started last Sunday, and you're supposed to have 7 straight, I think. Isn't that right? And so now we'll go, and I don't think any of us, it goes back to, somebody asked me, is it different? I don't think right now, none of us understand what's going to be the testing procedure there. We don't know.
Rick, you put Devontae Gaines in. You did a great job guarding Herbert Jones. Gets fouled, misses 2 free throws. He's down on himself. It was pretty obvious. How do you make sure if you call on him again that when he goes in that he feels confident enough that he's put that behind him?
Well, you know what, Jimmy? People on this team and this program love Ticket. They love him. I mean, you guys watch him and he plays, and he's got such a big heart. And there was no doubt when we knew they were going to run the same play, and we saw who they had out there, and we said, okay, who can go in and guard either one of what they were doing at the time, and we knew Ticket would do it. We knew he would, and the fact that he made that play against the Player of the Year in the league, if you really think about it, I mean, he guarded him, I said, 4 times on one possession in terms of the banging and shoving that was going on, and then came up with the rebound, and there was no doubt. We knew if it was a rebound in there, he would come. He would give us as good a chance as any, and he did. But to answer your question, I mean, if you knew how much he's loved, and did it hurt him? There's no doubt. I mean, if you're an athlete, you compete. But the fact is, he wasn't afraid to go in the arena, get dirty and play, and he won't be afraid the next time. That's not. If you know him, if you know where he's from, believe me, he's not going to. Again, will it affect him? I don't think so. And because I'll tell you what, I have no reservations whatsoever. We need him in a situation that we think is going to help us win. We will put him in the game.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.